if there is any good news in this shit show of a performance, it's that when playing poorly, I cannot beat 1000s. Just can't. I'm playing really poorly. The good news is I didn't lose to anybody really low. So that makes me feel bad. Or, sorry, better. Now, granted, I still didn't play great games, but I played games and I won. So I still went 2-2. It wasn't that bad. So with that being said, here is game 2. It's not beautiful, but you know, I've been studying a lot of games. I don't know if you've seen my Twitch or anything that I've done, but I've been studying. I study games and I memorize them, test myself on them afterwards, and remember them. And I studied a King's Indian game from Hakura Nakamura in 2015, sorry, against Wesley So. And a lot of the ideas that I played here came from that game. And while I didn't play it perfectly, and there's things I could have done better, I put a lot of pressure on him and did a lot. It created a lot of unique opportunities. I saw a lot of similarities in the positions. I was able to take those similarities and utilize them in similar ways to the game that I practiced. And maybe I'll show that game right after this and show what I kind of picked up out of it, because I think that was interesting. And I was able to get a win. I did miss some like easily winning positions, but ultimately I ended up just having so much pressure that I won. So it started with, so he started with d4, and I started with the traditional knight f6. Then he pushed to c4, so he's just doing the queen's gambit mostly. I went g6, which is pretty standard. He went knight c3. Also very standard, bishop g7. Now, normally, like, I play this with d6 first, but this was, again, another idea from the game that I learned. Knight f3 is not your standard move, and here I went d4. In the Nakamura game, he castled right away, but that was because he had pushed the e-pawn. And I understand why you'd want to castle when you push the e-pawn, because basically the fight's about to start and you want to be prepared. Now he pushes the e-pawn and I castle. And here he brings out his bishop to e2 so that he can prepare castling. And this was something that Nakamura had done, knight to c6. And I know this like seems counterintuitive because, you know, here we go. Like, we have a problem. What if he pushes here? Well, apparently there's a lot of things you can do. Apparently you can go up here and you can hang out for a while. If they push you, you can go back here. And this gives you some opportunities to push here and come down here. The other thing you can do is just go back, because ultimately this takes a lot of the threat out of these 3 pawns, right? The big thing about these 3 pawns is that they're all taking control of this. And this is trying to like fight back a little bit towards it. In the Nakamura game, they castled, and he was really sitting there trying to figure out what to do and what was supposed to happen. Ultimately, he ended up castling, which was great because I was able to then follow in the way that I followed the game. And after thinking about it, he decided he was going to push, which was perfect because this is where I want my knight. This is a fantastic place to put my knights. Once I start pushing these pawns, I get my knights back, and I have all my knights into the attack. This guy's my long-range sniper. This guy stays on this file, and we go, right? He goes bishop e3. I think in the game, the Nakamura game, the knight comes up here. But either way, that's good for me. I brought my knight to d7, and he audibly said, "Whoa." So that made me feel good because already I was feeling like, you know, I was in kind of a dominant position in terms of knowledge. He has no idea what I'm intending to do or why I would put my knights here. And so he's just making random moves. And you can see, like, this move makes no sense. You can tell, like, it doesn't do anything. Like, what's he defending? This is locked up. Like, there is no point. I'm not making a threat on the queen side. there is nothing there. So he was clearly confused, which basically just gave me a free move to do what I wanted to do, which is to push f5. Now in the Nakamura game, I think at this point his knight was here, and he like pushed f3, and then brought his bishop out, and then Nakamura pushed f4, which I was hoping I was going to get to push f4, because it's like a great thing to be able to do. But he took, which is okay with me. I took back. Now my knight's in a great little outpost here. If he wants to kick it, he's going to have to severely weaken his king, which I'm happy to do. Come back here and attack the pawn. And I have a nice little cubbyhole for this. These pawns kind of keep the center locked down, so I'm all aimed and ready to go. I'm locked and loaded, right? He brings his bishop here, and I just said no. I'm going to bring my knight here anyway. If you want to trade your bishop for my knight, or your bishop for my knight this way, or your bishop for my knight this way, like, I'm more than happy with all of that. At this point, again, I don't know what the plan was here. Now, granted, he's a very low-rated player. He hasn't seen a lot of these moves. I don't think he knew what to do. So he was just kind of coming up with stuff as he went. So I pushed h6. And really, like, ultimately the same thing happens. If he comes back here, I'm going to push here. Like, it's just going to happen. And on the other hand, if he went back here, I could, in theory, take this. Now, of course, I wouldn't want to, because this could take this. But he thinks about it for a minute and doesn't really want to get his bishop trapped. Because ultimately, if he does go here and I go here and then he goes up here, I'm going to take. And it's going to fuck up his queenside or his kingside structure, and that's how it's going to be. So he goes all the way back to d2, which is super passive. I'm feeling really good, because what I want right now is to be really aggressive. That's what I'm looking to do. I push this because, I'm still protected. I'm not worried about it, and I am advancing on the king side. I am playing to checkmate this guy. And I think really, like, that's what you're looking to try and do in the king's India. At least that's my understanding of how it works. He then moves his rook again to c1. I don't know why it ever went to b1 in the first place. I also don't know why it's in c1. This doesn't, like, he's not anywhere. Now, granted, like, long-term plans maybe, I could see him moving his knight out here and then trying to push through and make some sort of sustained queenside pressure. But he is many moves away from that, and I am beating down the door. I move my knight here because what I realize is this is a beautiful square for me. Like, it just is. It's just a gorgeous square. It's double protected by pawns. If he wants to trade his bishop for this, for one of these pawns, I can bring this pawn over, and now I have a 3-pawn attack against his king. 3 connected pawns attacking his king. And I still have my knight, right? Who can jump into this square, who can come over here. Like, I still have a lot of play. So this is feeling really good. He brought his knight over here. I'm not sure why or what the thought was. Again, like, this is kind of like a recurring theme. I don't feel like he knew exactly what he was trying to do. I felt like maybe he was trying to come here and fork. Like, if he wanted to do this, but like, even here, like, I'm going to come here, and then, he's kind of going to get himself stuck, because if he takes this, I take this, and he can't take back. I've still got the rook defending. So anyway, I continue with my plan. It does say that his best move is bishop f4, because this knight is starting to become a serious problem. I am causing major problems here. And he doesn't take, so what he ends up doing is moving this rook. And I guess he thinks I'm trying to take this right now, which that's not even slightly on my mind. The next move that's on my mind is kicking this knight, right? I don't care about that. I want him to move this because I want to get a knight in here, right? So he's just got all the wrong ideas about what I'm trying to do. And this is just, it feels like a very dominant position at this point. Now, granted, I had a tactic that I didn't see before. And the idea, well, I think it was G4. I did go G4. Okay, and here's where I messed up. I made a serious calculation error. He went here. And now he took a piece, but 2 pieces were hanging. And the incorrect thing for me to do is to take back, right? It's just not correct. The correct thing for me to do is to take, because now 2 pieces are still hanging. And basically I just win a piece for that. But I moved very quickly. I was feeling the pressure of the time, and I took back the bishop. And now, oddly, I guess he missed this square that he just opened. He goes there. This is double protected, so again, he loses another piece. I guess he just didn't want to be so passive where everything was here. Because, you know, I don't know, because my knight's going to get there. But my knight's going to get there either way. So now I'm threatening this with a fork. And I'm threatening his queen. And there's nothing he can really do here, right? This is covered. There's nothing attacking this. I've got all these pawns. This is covering this. This is covering this. This is ready to come out to this file. And I'm feeling super good, right? This is the first time that I'm feeling just absolutely amazing in this tournament. You know, if I imagine, you know, if I get my queen here, we're in a situation where, you know, if I push, he's going to have to take, or if I push this way, right, he doesn't want to take because, you know, he's screwed. So if I push this, maybe he goes here and he loses a piece. If I push here and he just goes like this, you know, and my queen's here, then I come here threatening a lobster, right? Like there's just so many good things. This is check, I win material. But here he makes the worst possible move he can make. Because I can just take this, and he takes back, and I take his queen. At this point, he resigns the game. For obvious reasons, I'm up a piece and a queen. Even though he's going to take it back, and ultimately I won't be up a piece, I'm going to be up a queen with a monster attack on his king. And basically he has nothing to show for it. Yeah, so he would need to be up a lot of something, and it didn't. So it turned out well. I was really happy because if I lost to a 500, I would have just like totally raged and lost my mind. I didn't play well. I missed a tactic or two, but ultimately we won the game. So, all right, that's my review of game 2, and game 3 will be coming up in shortly.